Hello, as I film this, it is the first day of group stage, and you may have already seen some plans interviews start to pop up on the channel. And one thing you may notice that is the case is that for the first time since the second ever World Championship, 9 years ago, I am not at Worlds. I am not legally able to go to China, along with basically almost every other American who can't get some sort of crazy exemption. In fact, my understanding is that Riot sent over very few people from their own staff and very much limited the amount of team staff that could go over because they had to get special permissions for everybody. So there's no on-site media stuff at Worlds in China, at least not for Western folks. So here I am in my room at 5 a.m., my office, at 5 a.m. talking to you about all of this. And this sucks. It really does. I love going to Worlds. Sometimes it is exhausting, but it is still great to be there on the ground and really experiencing it. And so I'm bummed that I can't. And I'm also really bummed because it means that my coverage for you will not be, at least on the interview side, we've got some other stuff, I'll get to that, as good. Because, well, here, a couple different things. One is, the constrained Riot's process this year is constraining to 10 minutes. You basically hop in a Zoom call. I have to set up the overlay and all that stuff, start recording, but basically the moment that you get into the Zoom call, you've got only 10 minutes. That's a little different from normal circumstances where, yes, it's limited in time, oftentimes around 10 minutes, but there's a little bit of time as you're setting up to like jabber with the person that you're talking to. Maybe I get to meet the translator a little bit and get to know them. If it's like a translator that I don't have, that's not part of my crew. You know, there's just a lot of things that you can do when you're on the floor at one of those things to make sure that the coverage is better, to vibe with whoever you're going to interview a little bit, whatever. It's really nice. There's some other, look, I'm not complaining. I'm happy they're doing anything at all. I'm just trying to let you guys know some other constraints. For instance, not every one of my requests make it to the teams. Riot instituted this, I think last Worlds, but it feels more pressing now. I guess I would say that like all the media submit their requests to Riot. Riot decides which ones to send onto the teams themselves. So part of the reason I bring this up is that it's important for you guys to know that if you are seeing interviews not popping up from a specific team, or like, let's say TSM has some big win, and then afterwards I don't have a TSM interview. Sometimes under normal circumstances, that is because TSM doesn't give me the interview. In this circumstance, it's just as likely that Riot didn't send the request on. I guess they do that because they want to divvy up the interviews among different media outlets. I'm of the opinion that they should be letting teams decide who gets the interviews with their players, not Riot, but this is where we're at. Okay, so it's important that you know that for when you see that there's a missing interview on my channel, it's not my fault. It's not the team's fault. All right, that might not have even been passed on to them. And then just, I never really talk about this too much, but there are a lot of politics at Worlds behind the scenes on interviews. You know, oftentimes I do have to go talk to GMs or team owners or whoever just to like work different things out. Obviously there was a little bit of a bump last year at Worlds, if anybody can remember, and like it's just always like this, and it's really difficult to overcome these challenges whenever you are remote. You know, I can message people, I can try to work stuff out, but it's always going to be harder than if you're on the ground. So I just think that there's a good chance that I will have less interviews this year. The interviews I do get won't be as great. We request the interviews, right? Has us request the interviews 24 hours in advance of the start of the first game of that day. So in the past, you submit interviews. It used to be during the game, which was great because then if one team pops off, you can grab them. Now eventually it was at the start of the day, which is nice because at least you have an idea of what the storylines are. But now you are submitting requests. You know, let's put it this way. I have to submit requests for day 2 of groups before day 1 has even started. So what happens is you're gonna end up with a lot of interesting interviews where it doesn't necessarily make sense that I am interviewing that person for that day. And in fact, I've been told that we have to basically, if you request an interview with a team that loses and you get the interview, you have to do the losing team interview. So you're probably going to see a lot more losers interviews on this channel too. Now, I don't say all this stuff to complain. Again, I am happy to be getting access. I personally disagree with the philosophy behind some of this, but I'm just happy I can cover it in the first place. I tell you all this so that you guys understand why interviews might feel weird or missing or whatever from this channel this year. I'm really sorry about it. I wish there was something I could do about it. I have provided feedback, and this is the best we got. That being said, I want to make sure that we can still do really cool stuff for you. So you might have already seen some of this, but we have a lot of additional content that's hitting the channel this year. So examples of that, and a lot of it we've already kind of done, but hopefully we're going to do more. We had a hype video for North America that I did as a collaboration with Sylvix and Medic. Really would recommend you guys go take a look at that. It didn't get very many views on the channel, and I think it's quite good. It popped off on Twitter, but we also did a Worlds explanation video explaining how the whole format works. So for those of you who are trying to understand like what's at stake or whatever, maybe you don't normally watch Worlds or whatever, you need a refresher, that is up there as well. We've got this new series called Run It that some of you might have seen, some of you might not. It is an analytical stats-based breakdown that is basically like 3 minutes or less, because a lot of the content on this channel is quite longer. We're doing a little bit of a shorter series for you, so that's a little bit more digestible. You can just check it out. We're now going to do all these Worlds-themed ones, right? The first one that we did around Worlds was around the best players that have ever played at Worlds. And then also Top Esports is statistically the favorite to win Worlds this year. And I don't know if you guys saw that Top Esports game tonight, but it was pretty one-sided against FlyQuest. So you can take a look at that. We're going to do more of those throughout Worlds as well. For Hotline League, we are trying to do a lot of international episodes and get international guests. So we already had an LPL caster on, Hysterics. We had LS on last week. This week, we actually did try to get an LPL caster, but they weren't able to make it last minute, or they weren't feeling well, whatever. There was a reason. And so we weren't able to do that, but we're going to try to get more. It's difficult because EU casters, our Hotline League takes place in the middle of the night there, but maybe we'll try to accommodate their schedule. I don't know. Just know that that's going to happen. So I'm looking for different opportunities. I'm trying to also get some interviews with some casters and some folks. I did an interview with Kadril, which was just something I independently reached out to him about. So there's some other stuff that's going to be hitting the channel as well. So hopefully it'll offset perhaps what feels like maybe some weirdness around the World's interviews this year. Also, I want to say that Deer is returning as a translator for us, and I also have an editor staying up all night. So the team is going fully nocturnal. Actually, Deer actually went to Korea. So she usually lives in the US, but she's in Korea right now, so she'll be on the same time zone as Worlds is, or maybe one off, I don't know. And so all of us are going to be basically adjusting our lives to make sure that we are on this World schedule. We can cover that. If I seem exhausted in some of these interviews, especially from ones that are happening after the sun has come up, please bear with me, okay? I really care about this channel. I care about creating awesome content for you guys. Worlds is a really big deal. I know a lot of you guys are missing Worlds because you are sleeping, because you're in North America like I am, and you do not have this crazy schedule. We're going to do the best that we can to create really cool stuff for all of you, and I hope that you all enjoy it. Finally, two things I wanted to mention. It's not just the content that's going to be going hype for Worlds. We also have cool stuff that we are doing with our sponsors. So Draft Buff has returned. If you remember them from Summer Split, they allow you to do fantasy games. Not only do they have the typical draft royales where you can draft a team from all the World's players, but you can also do pick'ems, and we are giving away, they are giving away, I guess I should say, I'm not doing it, gifted subs to the channel, my Twitch channel. If you want to look at the link in the description below, the first 150 people can get a gifted sub by just signing up, making a league, and joining one of mine. And that's right, you can compete against me and against me in my own games. So check it out. Secondly, we are doing a thing with Alienware, which is a chance to win mystery skins, Hextech chests, ward skins, some really cool stuff over at alienware.com/Travis. There's a banner at the top of the page from October 3rd to the 15th. Go to alienware.com/Travis. Again, there's a link in the description below. It's a standard link. that you guys are all familiar with. Click the banner up at the top, and there's a chance to win. It's unfortunately only available for North American codes for the servers here because of the way it's divvied up or whatever, but chance to win some cool stuff. They made like a custom Travis Gafford chance to win game, so go take a look at that. But it's really cool that we're partnering up with our sponsors to create kind of some fun stuff for Worlds as well. So either way, hope you all enjoyed this, and hope this provides some context and explanation as to what we are up to here at Worlds this year. And I cannot wait to get back to Worlds on the floor in 2021, assuming everything works out okay. And this year's been kind of crazy, so hopefully next year is a little bit more stable. But thank you all so much for supporting me and the channel. I really appreciate it. And please bear with us as we go through this.
You know, when the first settlers were traveling across America, they came right down this road, and they needed supplies. And you know who they relied on? Alienware for those supplies. That's right. They needed to have like a great M15 laptop to ensure that I'm gonna keep doing this while we move out of the way. They needed a great laptop to make sure that they could weather the challenges of travel. I have no idea what this looks like. I don't have Broden with me. And so that's what they did. They actually... Is this car slowing down too much? Is he going to ask me a question about what I'm doing? Okay, no, we're good. They moved on. So my point is, yes, those settlers, they relied on Alienware. And you can rely on Alienware. There's a link in the video description. Thank you to them and DraftBuff for sponsoring my Worlds coverage. And they're doing a giveaway for a bunch of cool stuff. So go check out the giveaway. If you enter, it really helps us out.